Hey guys, this is Mark from the Fandom Plan. For this video, I have decided I will be reviewing Love, Victor, a new TV show on Hulu. I just wanted to share my thoughts. I will have some spoilers, but I will try to do a non-spoiler section where I talk about my thoughts without any spoilers or very, very minor spoilers, and then I will tell you guys that you can leave so that you can go ahead and watch the show and then come back, or, keep watching if you don't mind spoilers. But I will be spoiling a lot of the show, but I'll mostly be talking about the characters and what I thought of them. I have some of the actors' names down, but some I do not, so I apologize for that. I really want to start off by saying that I love the Love, Simon movie, and more importantly, the book, Simon versus the Homosapien Agenda, which I have actually right here. I'm gonna have that. My camera might be lagging, but I'm using my phone as a webcam for my laptop, so there's that. But I love this book. I read that book in 2 seatings maybe. I was mostly reading it throughout my classes. Any free time that I had, I was basically trying to finish that book, and that was, I think I read it 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was when the movie came out, so I wanted to read the book and then watch the movie, which I did, and I was not disappointed by either. Granted, I had some faults with the ending of the movie just because that was different from the books, but that's a separate issue. And I will say that they took that ending because that ending changes a little bit of the plot, I guess. I don't want to say exactly how, but they took the movie ending and ran with that for the book, which makes sense. Now, my only problem with that is the movie is not on Hulu, to my knowledge, unless you pay the cable package, which is, I think, $50-something. But I think the movie is on Amazon for like $3, so you can go buy the movie, watch it on Amazon, and then hop on to Hulu to watch the Love, Victor series. However, like I said, Hulu, please put it so that everyone can watch it on Hulu, because I think you do need to know a little bit about the world there. I don't think you technically need the movie, because from watching the series, I would say that you can probably pick up on the things that you need to know in the series. Everything they have that you would need to know is kind of like mentioned. You just wouldn't know how the world is, how the school is. You wouldn't know too much about Creek Secrets, which is like this Tumblr, but it's like one of those confession pages, but people post more like rumors and stuff. But that was a big prospect of the movie. I don't really want to spoil anything from the movie in case you guys have not seen that or from the book, but I would say you should watch it if you can. However, you do not actually need it to understand the series. Moving on from there, I have some notes, so if I look away, I'm looking at like that part of my screen where I have some notes. Like I said, I loved the book. I read it very quickly, and then afterwards I watched the movie, and I loved both of them together, and I loved them separately because the endings, like I said, were different. The ending wasn't exactly different, but the way in which they approach the ending is a little bit different, and there were some additional scenes in the movie, and there were cutscenes from the book. So I want everyone to know that in case you read one and not the other. I don't think that the one scene that really changes, you see, like they mention it in Love, Victor, so you would know that the context, which is the Ferris wheel scene. But like I said, I like that it was on Hulu, which gets me to my point of Disney Plus. I know that this is somewhat controversial because they canceled. They didn't cancel it. They didn't cancel the series, but they canceled it from going on Disney Plus. And to be honest, I kind of get that because I would say this show is more mature than Disney Plus show. It's not like High School Musical, the series. It's much more mature. Some of the subject matter is more mature. I would never say it's R-rated. It's TV-14 or PG-13. Both of those would work, but like I said, it does have some more mature themes, and I like that it was on Hulu because they don't have to worry about censorship, and they don't have to worry about it being not enough. They can do kind of whatever they wanted with the series, and I think that panned out really well. The writers, we already know, are incredible. If you've seen This Is Us, they wrote that as well, and that is a phenomenal show with excellent emotional writing, which I think they definitely brought that back to the table for Love, Victor. And also Love, Simon was also an incredible movie. I think that the writing and the acting is superb in both of those, and I highly recommend watching both of those. I wanted to say how incredibly special this show felt because it didn't feel like it needed to have a ton of mess like shows usually do. Usually in a feel-good show or a young adult like kind of romance show, they have a ton of mess. Younger, I'm talking to you. But legitimately, usually there's so much drama, so much problematic content, but they didn't feel the need to do that with this show, and I think that that was so special because it made it feel more real. It made you more invested in the characters. It made you put yourself in that place because of how realistic it was. It could be your high school. It's nothing that is too far-fetched. It's nothing that's too much. Granted, I will say this is one of the shows where you would still think, where are these children's parents? I would say that very much. You kind of like get to understand that concept, though, which I will cover later when I discuss some of the characters, but I will say that they do somewhat talk about like where their parents are. It's not like they just don't care. They have their own storylines, and they do cover what the parents are doing, and you see a lot of the parents of the characters, especially Victor's family. You get to see his like family dynamic. You get to see his sister, his parents. There is mess there. I will get to that. But like I said, without a ton of conflict, you still got that. I will be right back. I'm going to turn on those lights because they shut off. Okay. Like I said, the show didn't feel the need to have a ton of conflict, and for that purpose, I thought that it was really well done. I hate it when a show feels like they have to have so much conflict just to make the show interesting. And I think that this show didn't feel the need to insert unnecessary trauma or conflict or whatever just to keep the plot going or keep it somewhat plot-centered. This is very much character-focused. It's a romance, young adult kind of contemporary show. And I think that, like I said, without the conflict, it was so important because I hate when a show feels the need to have conflict just for a viewer to still be engaged. And the conflicts that we got were not unintentional. They were all intentional, and they served the plot purpose, but they were also not unnecessary, that the plot kind of needed them, but it also could like have worked differently. I will say this show had me very emotional. For me personally, when I get invested, usually I need a good soundtrack, and I think this show did so well when it comes to the soundtrack. I think almost all of the song choices were superb, especially the one during the finale, during that scene, and you know which scene I'm talking about most likely. I will get to that later, but this is still a spoiler-free section, so I will say the song choice was very good. The song choice always gets you to that emotional state that you need to be in for those scenes, and I think that even without it, you still would have gotten there, but it just makes it so much more meaningful and tasteful, and it's just, you just get there, and it has this incredible aura of you feeling like you're also there because of how impactful the music choice is. However, come on, you guys couldn't have picked a better theme song? That's all I have to say on the theme song. The theme song was not that good. It's not necessarily a bad song, but it didn't feel like the right choice. That's the one time where I'm like, we have to hear this song every episode, and y'all couldn't make the right choice there? And maybe it's just not for me. I do think that the intro, like, visuals are good. I thought those were interesting. They're nice to watch. I don't mind watching the intro. I didn't really skip it, but, like, I wasn't vibing with the song. But that's really all my issue with the soundtrack. It didn't feel like there were a lot of overused songs, which is sometimes an issue with shows like this, but the songs felt like they were original. They're not overpopularized songs, and they weren't just using them for your attention. So I'll say that. I'll talk a little bit more, and then I have to delve into spoiler territory because I have to discuss the plot. So I will tell you that I think that the actors did a superb job once again. Especially Victor. Michael CIMINO did an incredible job with that role, and he did what he was handed, and he made it so great. Personally, I didn't have a problem with the fact that it was a straight actor playing a gay character, but I still think it was such an incredible performance, and I don't mind it. I know some people have an issue with it, and the reasons for that are valid, but I personally thought it was fine. I personally didn't feel the need that it has to be a gay actor. So for me, it was fine. He did an incredible job. He played that character so well, and he brought Victor to life. And I don't know, I can't really think of anyone else who would have done the same, just because he was such an incredible Victor. His character is adorable. He's somewhat a dumbass sometimes, and it's just really cutesy. There's a lot of fluff, I would say, in the show, and it's just like that friendly vibe that you get in those old like sitcoms you used to watch. It kind of feels like that because you love almost all of the characters. Almost all of the characters. Even the annoying like side character, or technically he's a main character, Felix, which, let me see if I wrote who he's played by. I did not. I will insert a picture and his name on this screen. But I think his actor did an incredible job. Felix was such a well-written character, and he's one of those people who, even though they're annoying and they're always on you, you still love them because they're just that kind of person. Felix felt very much like family, and he kind of acted like it too. Not kind of, he definitely acted like it too, like a brother, and it was such an incredible bond to see between Victor and Felix. That's one of the hearts of the show. He was a very, very lovable character. I feel like I can't really talk about this anymore, but I will say the acting was great. The writing was really good, which writing, a lot of teen shows writing concerns me because they're either unrealistic or they're too dramatic, but this show just felt real. It felt like something you would read out of like the young adult books, which I feel like those are usually good and accurate, but that is my opinion. I read mostly romance young adult books, so there's that. The corniness is very much there, and I love corny, so that was good for me. It was good for my mental health. I definitely needed some corny in my life. But granted, I will be talking about spoilers after this, so if you want to continue, just be aware of that. Actually, yes, there's very much spoiler content. I want you guys to know that. I will put a spoiler warning on the screen as well, so you can't say I did not warn you. We're just going to get into it. Let's get into it. I have some notes about what I wanted to talk about. I'd say that for Victor, I discussed some of the things that I loved the most. And for me, I really, really loved the birthday episode. The birthday episode, I think, was very important because he was using it to fix the conflict between his mom and his dad. And it was when him and his sister Pilar, played by Isabella Ferreira, they found out that their mom had cheated on their father back when they were in Texas with his boss Roger, and that was one of the big like conflicts there, and it felt realistic. I would say when we found out like through Facebook, it made sense, because I do think some people are clingy like that and they don't leave that alone. I'm not sure if she said she ended up getting a restraining order. I don't think she did. They just left because their dad punched Roger, but we don't find that out until later. But in this place, in this point in time, he was trying to fix it because the relationship was kind of breaking apart between his parents. His family was falling apart because of the fact that they found out. I don't think his younger brother knew. I'm pretty sure he didn't know, but he could still feel that vibe. And so he was trying to fix all of the conflicts because he's kind of the heart of the family and the fixer, and he always does things for his family. And so on the birthday episode, he told them that, okay, fine, we'll have a party, and it was so that his family, like, cheer up and yay, because his grandparents were also coming to visit. So he was like, oh, might as well get them meet the friends. But I don't think he wanted to do that. And this is, I'm going to be doing some reaching right here. But I personally stopped having birthdays a long time ago because I didn't want to bring over my friends because of maybe my parents won't like them and they won't be accepting of them, and that causes me trauma. Like, for me, that's horrifying. Plus, that would also make me uncomfortable because my friends would also get uncomfortable. And so that was kind of the thing that they kind of focused on when Benji was invited, because he was there in the cafe or whatever with Lake and Mia, and then Lake basically invited Benji, and then he's like, can I bring my boyfriend? And obviously Victor says yes. How do you say no to that? And then when he comes over, he introduces them as bandmates to his family. And see, I kind of had a problem with that, but I also saw it coming, because how do you do that to someone? How do you introduce them as a couple to someone who's not accepting? And I think that was a interesting take, because the issue is he also didn't know how his parents would take it, and that's where the heart of that kind of issue lies, which definitely hurt. See, it hurt a lot, but I got where he was coming from, and that's one of those like conflicting, like, what is the right decision when there feels like there isn't one? If you say something, you cheer up your friends and you bring down your family and you get them angry, and that might result in repercussions for your friends. And so that was kind of like a small spiral going on there that I don't really know how he would have fixed. So there was that issue. And then like that family episode, that really hit different, because for me, seeing like his parents at the end, after he gives up and he does like introduce them properly, because they saw his grandfather saw Benji kiss Derek. That is something I would classify as a mess. I think that's where that episode really touched me, because at the end he chose his friends over like pleasing his family, which I was just concerned if he would get repercussions. And I'm glad that nothing really, like, he didn't get hurt. It didn't really hurt him or Benji or Derek. It was a meaningful moment, but I do wonder how a more strict family, like an even stricter family, would have handled that, because I honestly do not know how my family would handle this, because they're very, very strict and very conservative, and I don't know how they would have handled, like, how would they have kicked them out? I don't know, but to be honest, that is a realistic possibility. Moving on from that is the episode, which I'll discuss this one a bit more detailed later, but a boys trip episode, which is the one when he went to meet Simon without telling Simon first. Okay, number one, that is so annoying. Please do not visit someone without telling them, because you don't know where they are. You really don't know where they are. And Simon was on a trip. He was at some bachelor party, I'm pretty sure. But he did end up meeting with Bram, and then they hung out together. But he was kind of, I think he didn't know about the roommates, I'm pretty sure. And then he found out, and he was a little overwhelmed, because he was like nowhere within this community, and now he's just meeting so many different people from it. And he was kind of overwhelmed, which I do understand. It made sense considering his perspective coming from a conservative family and limited interaction with the community. And I think that it was very special, because over time he got to understand more and more that, oh, there isn't just A or B or C. There's like a whole combination of different kinds of personalities and different kinds of people within the community. And I think that was really important, because I feel like some people do feel a little left out, because it feels like sometimes, oh, there's a mask community and there's a femme community and there's no in between, and it's just all around a mess. But I think that it was really nice when Bram took him to the basketball and he was like, wait, what? These people are all gay too? I thought that was really important for him to see, because I think he didn't have it in his head that, oh, there are people like me who are also gay. And I think that was very important, because you get to understand more of where his headspace was at, which I think he was thinking, oh, I can't be gay because I'm too masked or I'm too athletic. Let's be real. He was not. He was in the middle. No, but like honestly, I think people sometimes obsess over their labels, and they don't think about like, oh, I'm just another person. Also, I'm burning in this sweatshirt, but I felt like I needed to wear red, because we know it's red. The show was also red. I can insert a picture of that. I think I'll have like I'm having pictures overlapped with the person I'm talking about. But in terms of the family, I loved Pilar. Pilar was an incredible character. She's probably my favorite, her and Mia both. I just think that it was so special seeing her develop from this person who it was hard for her because she had her friends back in Texas and she had her boyfriend back in Texas, and yeah, they ended up breaking up, but I think it was important for her to see that, oh, not everyone here is bad. And with Felix, even though he kind of inserted himself, they ended up growing so much closer together, and they had that cafe scene, which to me, that was a really special scene because it was her finally getting over the fact that, you know, it might not be too bad here, and yes, I'll make some friends. And that was Felix, and then later it was Mia too, which we will get to. I think the mother is an incredible actress. She did a very, very good job with all of the acting. She did an incredible job with portraying the mess, but also making the character very much real. Like, yes, she screwed up. She definitely screwed up. I never condone cheating. But you still saw that she still loved Armando, which, I'm going to be real, I had to look up his name because I did not remember it from the show. Armando, he's the father. He's played by James Martinez, and honestly, he seems like a well-grounded dad who he does mess up from time to time, but at the end of the day, he was a great person, and he's not a bad father. He's trying his best for his children, and you know what? Yes, he punched his boss, but to be honest, I kind of get it. Also, cheating was worse. Like, they made it seem like what he did was worse than what Isabel did, which, no. Like, how does that make sense? That's why I feel like it would have made more sense to reveal him punching his boss, and that's why they got fired first. And then they find out that Isabel actually cheated, but I feel like that would have been harder to convey naturally because how would they have found out about the punch otherwise? But there's that. Other than that, I think the Salazars were a great family to see. I think it's very important to see how family-oriented they all are, and they all love their family, and they all care about each other. And it wasn't, like, it was very, very honest, and it felt real, and it looked like something you would see in real life with one of those, like, loving, family-centered people. But we did end up seeing that Armando and Isabel will be taking a break, possibly permanent separation, maybe divorce later on. I will leave that for my predictions for season 2, which will be at the end of everything else. Benji, I liked Benji. I did not love Benji. Benji, you know, okay, so they took the trip to, I don't remember to where, but they took a business trip together, him and Victor, and you know what, I don't think he was being a bad person. I genuinely thought it was just a work trip. He wanted someone his age, someone he's friends with, someone to talk to, which made sense. So they went together and they like did thrift shopping or whatever, but then stupid Victor. Okay, here's something I don't understand. This was a very stupid decision. Like, what were you thinking, Victor? I feel like this will end up coming out like a fact. Someone will expose him, or he'll expose himself, or Benji will say something, but it was when they went on that trip, and I think Benji will find out is what I'm trying to get at. But they went together, and then he was supposed to come back to go to a benefit with Mia and meet her parents. But the issue is he ended up lying. Like, the guy ended up fixing the coffee machine or whatever they took to get fixed. And so he was like, you know what? And this is in his brain. He just decides, oh, maybe I shouldn't go. And so he's like, he calls her, he says he can't really make it. Oh, there's going to take overnight. And he lies to Benji, telling him that the guy did not finish fixing it, which I'm surprised they didn't find that out the next day that, oh, he did fix it. But they did that, and then they go and sleep together. No, not that kind of sleep together. Literally sleep. Like, just in the same bed. In a hotel room, and then Victor tries to kiss Benji. Now, the thing is, he lied about the coffee machine not being fixed to Mia and to Benji, to both of them. I think that will come back to screw him next season. I do think that will come back. And also, Mia ends up seeing Andrew, and then he tries to kiss her, but she shoves him off because, like, no, I'm taken. It doesn't even matter. I don't want you. And then Benji did the same thing when Victor tried to kiss him, and then Victor felt guilty, and he apologized, and then he ran out and sat in the hallway. What do you think was going to happen? What did he think it was going to happen? Because Benji is taken. Benji is taken. What did you think was going to happen? regardless. I think that's one of the things that really annoyed me about Victor. It felt really selfish there, and also, you promised me you were gonna go there. Are you kidding? Not only did you cheat on her, you had to make up a lie in order to cheat on. Like, what do you think this was gonna do? That was, I don't know. That to me felt very, very stupid, and also kind of unnecessary, because I didn't see the need for him to do that. Like, I don't get it. What did he think was gonna happen? I don't know. That just felt really, really incredibly stupid. I forgot to mention Benji is played by George Sear. I did have that noted down. Who I honestly think his acting was very, very good. But I think, to be honest, I don't feel like we saw enough of Benji. So, considering he will probably, I say probably because I don't know what they have in plan for season 2, or if there is going to be a season 2, but it was set up that way. I think we'll get to see more of Benji, more of his family, more of what's happening there, but I will say his relationship was problematic. Number one, him and Derek don't want the same thing. Benji was more of a romantic and like a cutesy kind of person, and then Derek's out here like, oh, that's too heteronormative for me. I've seen these people on Twitter, and maybe that's good for you, but you don't have to take that out on people who do want those things. Like somebody wanting to get married, somebody wanting to have children, someone wanting to be romantic, someone wanting to celebrate their anniversary. Like, that's not... That... Huh? Like, that's not enforcing anything. It's just what we want. Some people want that, and that kind of bothered me, and it rubbed me the wrong way, and he didn't even, like, think about where Benji is coming from. He's just like, yeah, let's wrap this up and go, when he prepared this, like, romantic dinner for him, and that really pissed me off. I was really fed up with Derek. And then I made the connection at the spring fling, I think is what it was. How old is Derek? How old is he? Because, to my knowledge, I don't think he's a high schooler. I think he's older. And I'm pretty sure Benji's probably 16. I'm really hoping Derek is like 18 or 19. Please. That was already weird. It was already weird. Okay, it got weird the moment I saw Derek, and I was like, he looks old. Is he old? He was old, yes. But he's not, he doesn't look ancient for a high schooler, but he is not a high schooler, so I had a problem with that. I also had a problem with Victor, with the band thing. Like, that was, he was very much aware he liked Benji, and he kept on just pushing it to the side. And that's not doing you or me any favors. Like, I know they had fun together, and I know they enjoyed each other's time, but if you're hitting on someone else, you should not be in a relationship. Because it honestly felt like he was playing her all along, and that's what sucked. He convinced himself that he was enjoying it, and I think he was enjoying some parts of it, but he wasn't enjoying it 100%. Which, speaking of Mia, favorite character. Her and Pilar, once again, they're my favorite characters. She was so lovable. She was such a kind person. Her personality was great. Her writing was great. Her acting was great. She was always there, and she's that one supportive friend everyone wants. Like, she was such a great person. Like, I can't say the same about, but honestly, I found Like annoying. Her actress did a good job portraying Like for who she was, but I still found Like the character annoying. Like, got on my nerves, and I know we got to see that she has some issues because her mom is like obsessed with her image, and that's why Lake was obsessed with her image, and why she didn't want to in public with Felix, because she was concerned of how people would see her because of the way her mom raised her to obsess over those details. But once again, she was too much. Like, she's too much for me. Her energy's too much, her personality's too, everything was too much. But that's like a personal thing. Like, she's not a bad person, and I actually ship her with Felix. I thought that was a great dynamic, and I'm really glad that she got over herself in terms of image, because she did want that, and that's where I was kind of annoyed, because she wanted it, but she didn't want to be in public with it because she was concerned for her image. Which I like that scene where she was like, when she took the crown for Mia, and then she had Felix take the crown for Victor, because they're both like their friends, their best friends, but they were also together. So that was, I don't know, that was for me kind of a cute moment. But like I said, I loved her so much. She deserves so much better. And I still think she deserves better than Andrew as well. So take that into account. Because I absolutely hated Andrew. I hated Andrew so much. I know that we got to know that, oh, he's just an idiot. He really didn't see what he was doing was a problem, because people kept on enabling him. People kept on laughing at his jokes, or if they were scared of him, they would laugh even harder so that he doesn't target them, as Felix called him out. And that, I think that moment was really perfect, because it helped him realize, like, oh, I'm not a hotshot. It's just because these people hate me so much, they're scared of me, that they act like they're my friends. And I think that that was so important, because I think there really are people who behave like that. I've been around them, I've seen them, and sometimes it really isn't intentional. Like, some of my friends have said really dumb shit, and like they were not aware that it was a problem. And sometimes you have to call people out for them to realize those things. That's why, like, I honestly loved that scene where Felix called him out, and it kind of just like hit him, like, oh shit, that this is what I've been doing. Are you kidding me? Like, he didn't realize, and yeah, he's an idiot for that, but I don't think he's a horrible person. But I do think it takes time for him to show that he's not a horrible person, because that to me was not enough. I think you have to be more proactive in stopping problems like that. And I think we'll get to see more of his like humane side and maybe his family next season again. Hopefully this is renewed. Felix is the heart of the show. Show would have been different without him. I think without Felix, Victor wouldn't have been comfortable with anyone. Felix inserted himself, but he inserted himself in the middle, and they just grew around him and with him, and it just became such a heartfelt relationship with him and everyone. Him and Pilar, him and Lake, him and Victor. It was all so great, and he even like grew with the family, because he loves their whole family so much, and it is probably because he doesn't really have his family anymore. He, to my knowledge, only has his mom, and she has like depression issues and so much that she's a hoarder, and I don't think he sees much of her, because when we saw his apartment, it was such a mess that I don't even know how you'd walk through that. But that, honestly, I think that moment hurt so much after he saw what Lake had been through, and he took her to see what he has been through. I loved that so much, and I think that's why they grew so much closer together so quickly, because they started opening up. And I know personally that when you open up to other people, they feel more inclined to open up to you and more comfortable doing so, and I think that's so important. I think it's always very, very important for you to do that with your friends and make them feel more comfortable enough so that they can also talk about their issues with you. And I think it's so important to not keep things in, because that can destroy you from the inside out. That's why I feel like Felix was the heart of the show. He's the one person who was always there for Victor, even when Victor was being an asshole to him, and I'm glad they didn't stick with that. Like, he did that a few times, and then like Victor realizes, like, oh, I should not be like treating him like this when he's the only person who's there for me. So that to me, like, I was really appreciative that the writers didn't feel the need to keep on pulling this shit, because it's so annoying when it's overdone in TV shows. Like, we know some people do that, but not everyone's gonna give up their friends to get popular or to be accepted by everyone. So that's why I thought that was great. And like I said, he's annoying, but I still loved him as a character. He got on my nerves a little bit because he talks so much, and he's always like, he's always in your face, but I think he's doing it out of love, and you can still feel that, and when you're watching it, and you get to know why he was so special. And I like the scene where Victor took Felix with him to Mia's house, because he wasn't ready when really he just wasn't into it. To me, I like the fact, because I thought maybe he tricked him into it and didn't tell him like why he's taking him. He's like, oh, I just want my friend with me. But no, I like that he did tell Felix why he wanted to bring him and like to help him out, and he was just like willing to be that for him. It was not taking advantage. Please acknowledge that. He was genuinely doing it to help Victor, and Victor wanted Felix's help. And that is the episode where Felix and Lake finally got together, even though it wasn't like official. I will say my favorite episodes were both one after the other, but it was episodes, I think yeah, it was the penultimate episode before the finale. It was Who the Hell is B, and that's the one where we finally got to know more of everyone else around Victor. Who are these people that are going to school with him? So we got to learn more about Mia and her father and his relationship with the new woman whose name I forgot, but like that's I think when we found out she was pregnant, and that's like when all of those things were piling on, when you got to know about her family and what really happened with them. I think was also in that episode. But you also got to know the Felix's mom being a hoarder, and you got to find out about Lake's mom being obsessed and where she was from and how she got here and how she got to obsess over these things. I think that episode also ended really well with Victor. So because of his guilt, he thought, hey, I'm going to write this letter and maybe this will help. But he wrote that letter, and then he like had it in his bag or whatever. Pilar went to grab it, and she went to, I don't remember what she went to grab, maybe money. I think it was money for ice cream. But she went to do that, and then she found the letter, and she found out, and she was so hurt, not just for herself, but because her brother is also a cheater, just like their mom. And I think that's what hurt so much, because it was so hard wrapping their heads around their mom doing this to their father. The fact that Victor did this to Mia makes it so much worse. And I don't think it mattered too much who B was, but she was like, who the hell is B? Like, that was the name of the episode, and that's how the episode ends, with Pilar asking that, like, saying that line. I also loved the episode before that, though. Boys Trip was probably my favorite episode, because it's Victor finally coming into terms with himself and coming into terms with the people who from the community and how much they care about him, and how it's so important to have that community and to have support from people around you. But I think that will come back to haunt him. I think that trip will be exposed, because no one really knows other than Simon, Bram, and the other roommates that he went to New York, because I think he even lied about the place. He said he gave some like permission form or whatever, and like his family thought he was going on a basketball camp, which we know is not the case. So I think his parents are going to find out about that. I think his friends, especially Mia, might find out about the boys' trip. I don't know how that will explode, but because he lied to her and ditched her for that trip, I think that will also come back, because that hurts when you ditch someone for something else. I also loved the finale. I loved the song they chose for the scene where Mia walks out of the spring fling, and then she finds him and Benji kissing. That Lost Without You, that scene broke me. I will tell you, that scene broke me. I was crying to that song, and now when I listen to it again, I get the same vibes again, and I'm out here weeping. But I think this show is really good. It was a very feel-good show. I cried a bunch throughout it, because for me sometimes seeing people who are happy or who are going through similar things, it's very, very emotional for me. And in quarantine, when I can't really meet up with friends because I'm personally still under quarantine, for me that was very, very painful to watch. But it was also like it was a very, very feel-good show, even throughout all of the small like conflicts that were going on. I think Mia deserved better. Number one, I never condone cheating. I don't think he should have went on to Benji like that. I think that he should have been more respectful about it, because Benji was with Derek. I kind of liked that him and Derek broke up, because I didn't like them together. I didn't like Derek specifically. It just felt weird. But that's kind of my thoughts. I really like the way they weaved Simon into Love Victor, and that Victor reached out to Simon to kind of talk to him, and I think it was important that Simon didn't respond back immediately, because he doesn't understand everything. His parents were always more like activists and everything. They were not conservative like Victor's family was, and so he took support from his friends, and he formulated his responses from other people's experiences so that he helped Victor the best way possible. And it was kind of like a nice thing to see Simon still weave through the story, because the story did start with him. The one thing I have a problem with Simon, which I'm guessing is a scheduling conflict, which it is what it is, but it was that we didn't see Simon really interact with Bram, or even standing next to him when after Katya calls Victor up on stage and he looks down, like, you see Bram and the others, and then you see Simon in a different spot, like standing by himself, which I didn't exactly like, but like I said, I think that was a scheduling conflict. For season 2, I honestly think that we're going to have more spiraling. I think we're going to have a bunch of issues. His parents are separating, but then maybe they choose to stay together because they think, oh, maybe it's because of us that he's like this. Maybe it's our fault that he likes guys. And I think we really might go through that. We might go through, like, telling him to pray, things like that. I think there's so many issues that are gonna come out of season 2, because they also can't really keep on doing the, like, nice feel-good completely show. They have to have some conflict, and since they've resolved the relationship and self-criticizing stuff, I think we're gonna go more in the conflict caused by other people and not from yourself. And I think that's what we're gonna see a lot of in season 2. I think some of the secrets that he kept are going to be exposed. Maybe people will know that he's been texting Simon. I don't really know exactly, but I think that there's just some things, like the boys trip. I think they're going to find out about the trip that he took. I think that more people are going to find out about the trip he took for work, and that he lied about the coffee machine being fixed somehow. I don't know. I feel like that'll come out, because I feel like otherwise they wouldn't really... I don't know, it felt weird to do it like that. I just think that has to come back. I think we're going to see more of Andrew in season 2. I think we'll get to know what makes him tick, because he's kind of the only character who, like, had a name who we didn't really get to see what he was going through, or what's caused him to be this person who's always, like, trying to make other people laugh at the expense of others. I'm honestly really curious to see where that goes. Those were my thoughts on Love, Victor. I hope you guys watch this video. I'll link my Twitter, Instagram in the comments, as well as the Yemeni crisis card, so that you guys can sign petition. Put in some of your money for the funds, as well as the Black Lives Matter funds and petitions. All those are going to be in my description and on my About section on my channel. So you'll have all of those resources. Please go. It doesn't take too long to just sign some petitions. And if you have the money to spare, please also donate. I think both of those are very, really important causes, especially right now in the world. And I would really appreciate it if you guys could please go and do those things. Thank you so much. This has been the Fandom Planet reviewing Love, Victor. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share, as well as do what I told you to do and go sign some petitions and donate some money for the funds. Okay? Thank you. Goodbye.